Hey everybody, it's George Brown again, and welcome to part 4 of the Sniper Outsourcing Blueprint. Okay, in the last video I showed you how to actually negotiate with someone and sort of drill down your candidates and actually pricing for a sniper site and things like that. Okay, now in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually explain to you how to give them instructions. Obviously, a very important part of this whole process is giving your candidate, your worker, the right instructions, or it's going to affect the quality of your sniper site. Okay, it's not going to be as good, etc., etc. Okay, so in this video I'm going to sort of, obviously, it's basically quite simple. They're going to be making a sniper site exactly as you've seen in the manual. However, there are some tips I can give you along the way that will help speed up you telling them what to do and things like that, rather than taking you hours upon hours. Okay, it's pretty simple. So some quick notes before we begin. Okay, and I'm going to show you the whole process of steps 1 to 4 of exactly how you are going to interact with them to build your first or outsource your first Google sniper site. And it might be a little bit different than you're anticipating. Okay, they're not going to be building the entire thing from scratch. Okay, now eventually they can build the entire sniper site themselves. However, starting out, it's not the best way to go about things. Okay, do not trust them in the beginnings. Now, I don't want to sort of conjure up any images of horror stories or anything like that, because it's never happened to me, but I'm always saying it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so what I mean by this, a very specific example, is obviously at some stage they're going to have to install a WordPress blog, as I've already shown you in the manual. Okay, and in the earlier videos. Now, to do that, they would need access to your hosting account, which would possibly have multiple of your sniper sites on it. Maybe you're making your full-time income through Google sniping, and that's your entire livelihood. Okay, you do not want to trust someone you don't know with access to your hosting. Okay, so for example, the small part of installing the blog, which takes like 2 minutes, I still recommend you do yourself, and there's a few other bits as well. So on top of that, it's also better that you overview the key parts in the beginning anyway, particularly the keyword research, and we're going to go over that in a minute. Now, it's important to know that this, don't let this discourage you. They're still going to be doing 98% of the work. Okay, your work will only take about 15 minutes total per site. Okay, it really is. We're not talking about you doing a lot of work here and having involvement. I'm just talking about you having involvement in the key parts to make sure your sniper site is a success, or to give it the best chance of being a success. Okay, in the first one. Okay, so the instructions to give them. This is the kind of process that I use. Now, I've refined this over time, and this is the one that I've found gives the best results. Okay, like I've already said, over time you can give them, they can start doing everything, but to start off with, I really recommend this is the approach you follow. Okay, so the first part is basically the keyword research. That's the first thing they'll be doing. Now, I recommend that you pick the product and tell them what niche to go into. Don't leave it to them. Don't just say, oh yeah, we can go into any niche on ClickBank, because you never know what they're going to pick or anything like that. You don't know if they know how to pick a product. It's a very important part of the process, and one I still recommend you do. Okay, it only takes like 5 minutes anyway. Just head over to CB Engine, just like I showed you in the video. Pick a product from one of the top 5 products from a category, and you're done basically. Okay, and then just give them the niche to do the keyword research in. Okay, so they're still doing the tedious keyword research, you're just picking the product. That is what I advise you do. Okay, so first of all, you pick a product, or you pick a niche. You say weight loss, then you say go and find keywords related to weight loss. They then go and do the keyword research, and we'll go over more detail about that in a second. Step 3 is you overlook the keyword and install the blog. Now, then you give them access to the WordPress blog. Now, let's go over the first part first. So you overlook the keyword. Now, obviously, the keyword is one of the most important parts of a sniper site. This will only take you like 5 minutes, and whilst you're going to give them excellent instructions on authority sites and things like that, it's very important that you overlook it anyway, just to ensure the maximum chance of success. Okay, it only takes like 5 minutes. And also, I'm going to tell you about something that a lot of workers will do, which is very important and will really harm a sniper site, if you don't if it's overlooked, okay, and often it is overlooked by workers, okay, but you'll be able to pick it up, okay. So you overlook the keyword. Then once you've picked the keyword, you just buy the domain, obviously. Takes like 2 minutes, and install the blog, okay. Very simple. And then you then give them access to the WordPress blog. Now this ensures that essentially they don't have any access or to any of your business whatsoever outside of this brand new Sniper site, which doesn't have anything on it anyway, and you can just do whatever with, okay. And it doesn't really matter if there's seek to destroy it or anything, okay. So it's very important that you do that. You install the WordPress plugin, keep yourself in control, at least at this early stage. Maybe as you grow to trust them later on, you can definitely give them access then, okay. So then give them access to the WordPress plugin. Make sure you've already put the FTP details, just like I showed you in the WordPress installation video. Make sure you already put the FTP details into the blog, so they don't have to ask for them later, because obviously you don't want to give them your FTP details, or you're, like I said, basically giving them access to your entire business, okay. That's really important. So after you've done that, and after you've given them access to the WordPress blog, you then say, hey, alright, go out and create this site. They write the post, they create all the pages, they create the About Me page, they put the pictures in, they do the themes, they do the plugins, they do absolutely everything, okay. They submit the YouTube video then, they're expected to make, they do the social bookmarking, they do the pinging, they do basically everything after all you do is you pick the product, you overlook the keyword, and you install the blog, and obviously you review their progress later on, okay. So hopefully this process makes sense, and basically it's not going to take you a lot of time, but it's going to ensure, like I said, the maximum chance of success for your Sniper site, okay, and also keep your business secure. Okay, it took me a while to figure this out, okay, because not a lot of people approach outsourcing like this, but it works really well, and the results I've achieved have been excellent. Okay, so going into a bit more detail then on the actual different portions of it. So first of all, the keyword research. So basically, like I said, you tell them what niche, what root keywords to use, okay, but tell them to use more than one. Now this is the big issue. So if you tell them, I'd like you to, in the keyword tool, I'd like you to use a root keyword, weight loss. Well, make sure they know that they can use, weight loss, lose fat, belly fat, exercise to lose weight, all of these root keywords as well, and whatever else they come up with. Make sure they have the freedom to do that, or they're going to have real problems coming up with keywords, because as you know, every time you put in a root keyword into Google, it only comes up with like 100 maximum keywords, okay, and they may not find one there. So make sure they understand that they should use more root keywords than just the one you've given them, okay. So you tell them what niche rather than root keywords. So you just say general keywords around weight loss, general keywords around dating, etc., etc. Okay, that's a really important point. Now the second one is an even more important point, okay, and this is something that has happened to me quite honestly like a dozen times. This happens really often, and you've got to be really careful with it, okay. So obviously the keyword has to have more than 3,000 searches per month, and that's what you'll tell them. You'll say more than 3,000 searches per month, but remember, it has to be phrase match, okay. It has to be phrase match. So when they're in the keyword tool, make sure you really hammer this into them, and even then sometimes they'll still do it, that they need to tick phrase match and untick broad match, okay. They'll often forget that, okay, because remember, if it says 3,000 searches a month in broad match, the reality is the actual phrase match of the keyword, the phrase variation, the one we're going to be ranking for, could be getting as little as like 500 or something like that, okay, or even less. So it's really important that they tick phrase match. We're just going to get a load of keywords. You're then going to go in, check the keyword, and you're just going to be sorely disappointed and be like, well, this isn't getting 1/6 as much traffic as you said it was going to be getting, okay. Now they'll often forget that, to tick the phrase match. That's just something a lot of people overlook, and the ones that do understand it will sometimes, okay, it's a little bit sneaky, I know, but will sometimes pretend like they forgot, just because it's a lot easier to find broad match keywords that have over 3,000 searches per month and less than 13,000 competitors than it is to find ones that have the phrase match, okay. That's quite difficult as I'm sure you know when you try to find the keywords yourself. Okay, so that is really important. Make sure you do that and really hammer that in there when you send them this big email. Okay, by the way, you're going to be sending all of this in one big email to them and instructions rather than on Skype, and I'll tell you there's kind of step-by-step plan of what they need to do, and I'll explain more about that later on. So the next one is obviously less than 13,000 competitors. That's pretty self-explanatory. Make sure they're typing the keyword and in quotes into Google, and make sure they're then removing the quotes when they need to check for authority sites. But make sure you check too. Maybe give them some advice on sites to avoid. Wikipedia, WikiHow, about big authority sites like that, sites with a really big page rank, things like that. Okay, so make sure to look out for that. To tell them to do that, but also make sure you have a check too. This is really important in the main part of the keyword. You're going to be checking over. Now, when you check over a keyword, make sure you check how many searches per month it's getting as well. Make sure you check the 13,000 competitors, and make sure you check for more and most importantly, authority sites. Okay, so that's pretty much the keyword research. That's what you need to tell them to do. Let's talk about the sniper site itself. So you just want to explain the process of putting this one keyword all over the site, the actual Google Sniper process, okay, because they may not be familiar with it. You need to explain that this one keyword that you've now picked needs to be in the blog title, all the post titles, all over the blog, basically, okay. That is really important. So explain to them that, and explain to them any other kind of theories that there are in the Google Sniper course as well. Okay, so definitely explain that to them, or they're just going to miss out and build the site wrong. Have them pick a clean, not too professional theme, okay, or just tell them to install one of your favorites. So if you've built a lot of sniper sites, or you've seen one of the countless ones of mine or on the internet, just tell them to pick one of those, or one of the ones even better that I mentioned in the Google Sniper manual. Okay, just to be safe, tell them to install one of your favorites. Okay, so they don't pick the wrong theme. But obviously the theme is quite easily changeable, so don't worry about that too much. You can always change that later. Plugins, tell them how to configure them. That's pretty simple. It doesn't take long at all. Okay, so that's the sniper site itself, the technical aspects. The writing part, really make sure they understand the concept of selling, okay, at least slightly. Now, a lot of these workers will have built kind of AdSense type sites before, where they just write a load of crap, a load of garbage, and doesn't really make sense what they've written. All it's trying to do is rank in the search engines and display a load of AdSense ads. That is not the case with Google Sniper sites. The reason we make so much money is because of the pre-selling of the site. Okay, the way it's pre-sold, the way the products are pre-sold, etc., etc. Okay, it's the quality of the site that makes a Google Sniper site a really good one. Okay, so make sure the English is good, particularly that final post. Okay, and make sure they understand all the other pre-selling concepts in Google Sniper, the About Me page and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I really suggest even reading over that part of the manual before giving instructions, just to kind of give you a little refresher in your mind as to what you need to explain to them. Okay, but make sure they understand that. That's really important. Okay, they're not just building some crappy spam site here, building a really high quality Google Sniper site, and their English needs to be hopefully top notch. Okay, so finally, I kind of explained to you what you need to tell them to actually build the sniper site from the keyword research phrase, etc. Here's some big overall tips. Okay, so give them an example that really is going to help, whether it's one of mine, one of yours, one of the countless ones on the internet. Okay, make sure you give them an example of a sniper site that's really going to help them understand what you're talking about, but also make sure they don't just totally rip it off. Okay, now this is really important because I've had this happen to me before. So remember that you are paying them essentially per sniper site, and so in their mind, their mind is going to lean towards, oh, I'm just going to get it done as quickly as possible. But you need to tell them you cannot copy this site directly. I've had guys that have copied a site completely, so they've even copied and pasted all the posts I made and just pasted them into the new site and changed the keywords around a little bit. Okay, that is not good. They need to write all the articles from scratch, and it basically needs to be a completely different site. Okay, that's really important. Second thing is give them the process maps to Google Sniper. Now obviously you can't give them access to Google Sniper itself, but I am giving you permission to give them the PDF that contains just the process maps. Okay, this is going to make it 10 times easier for you. Okay, and I know I've probably just cost myself a lot of money there with people giving free access to the process maps, etc. Please just keep it to your workers, okay? But I'm really trying to help you, so I don't really mind here. Definitely give you permission to give the process maps to Google Sniper to your workers. That is really going to help speed things along, okay? And it will really make it a lot clearer for them on exactly what they need to do, okay? The third tip is just skim read Sniper again just before you give them the instructions, just to go over everything. Make sure you know what you're talking about. It's self-explanatory really. It's going to make everything a lot clearer in your mind. And the final big tip, okay, and I'll discuss this one for a minute, is so when you're giving them the instructions, say you're talking to them on Skype, don't just give them the instructions on Skype, okay? What I suggest you do is you say, okay, I'm now going to send you the instructions via email, and you send them one big email with all the instructions step by step, and make sure, by the way, that you include the steps that you're going to be doing so they have a full kind of perspective on what's going on. Okay, so say step 1, I'm going to pick a product. Step 2, you're going to find keywords related to this product and niche. Step 3, I'm then going to overlook the keyword that you found. Step 4, I'm now going to install the word, register the domain, and install the WordPress blog, etc., etc. Okay, so you want to make it as clear as possible. The other good thing about this, use the subject line complete tutorial on how to build the site if you like. The other good thing about this is it's going to provide a clear reference point. Over Skype, if you were explaining it on Skype, it would be spread over different conversations. He would have been talking back to you in between. It will just be a little bit messy. This will be much clearer for him to refer back to all the time, and also it will mean you can send it to future employees as well. So not just some dodgy old Skype chat, okay, having to explain it every time on Skype. You can just send them this email, okay? You only have to write it once. It shouldn't take too long, but do make it detailed because it is important. And if you do make it as detailed as possible, it's just going to save you having to explain things to him later on Skype, okay, or via email. So spend a good 15 to 20 minutes creating a really good step-by-step program that he can follow for all of the Sniper sites he ever builds you. And remember, you can then send this to any future employees. The final point I want to make with this is that this one big email with the instructions, because it's now got a reference point, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to kind of, should something go wrong in the future, reference something like, no, I told you to do it this way, here's the email, rather than some pasting from a Skype conversation, which just isn't the same. Okay, so you can just forward him the email, and you can say, look, I told you to do that, you haven't done it, I have grounds for, etc., etc. Okay. So I think in this video I've basically gone over everything you need to know on how to give your newfound employee instructions and how to build the Sniper site. In the next video I'm going to show you how to actually check their progress and where to go from there. Okay, it's the final video in the Sniper outsourcing blueprint, and I'll see you there. So thanks for watching this video, and at this stage you should have picked your guy, and you should now be sending him, and he should now be creating your Sniper site essentially before you watch the next video. So I'll see you then, and thanks for watching.